Welcome to the Blacknificent Radio Show, where hearts unite and beacons shine bright. From Africa's land to current affairs, we are here to share, listen, and care. Join us in this journey, hand in hand, as we explore the world's grandstand, caring for careers, meditations divine, mind and soul in perfect line. Empowerment echo through the air, education's keys, health is wealth. And in every show we find nourishment stealth. In the rhythm of our voices, let's find a connection. Blacknificent Radio is a hub of reflection. Together we'll rise in unity and embrace. Join us in our journey hand in hand as we explore the world's grandstand, caring for careers, meditation divine, mind and soul in perfect line. So tune in now and let your spirit soar to the Blacknificent Radio forevermore. For each episode is a treasure trove of knowledge, hope, and love will bestow.
Welcome to the Blacknificent Radio Show here on Galaxy FM. Welcome to the show today. Oh, come on now. Why do you always do this to me? I don't know why. Yes, welcome to the show here on the live and direct in the studio. Right, I'm going to open the lines early today. Right, 0203-289-6504 if you wish to call in, give us some news of what's happening in the community, what's about to happen, what has been happening. I know that there are a lot of things outside of our local area that is happening right now, right? I mean, like, wow, it looks like there's a big movement going in Africa, right, all over Africa right now. As the people them had start to stand up for themselves. Fantastic news. That is, right? And also what we'll be going to be doing here, right? Over the next few days, right? So let me just give you a lineup to this one here, right? Because I'm going to make a concerted effort to actually go to this one. This is on Saturday. This Saturday coming. Right, my daughter's Earth Strong as well that day. But anyway, that's another thing. So let's make our ways to Gunnersbury Park, okay? Pope Lane. Okay, Gunnersbury Park, Pope Lane, West Tree, 8LQ, okay? W3, 8LQ. Oh my word. You couldn't make this up. You couldn't make this up, man. Right? Gunnersbury Park, Pope Lane, W3, 8LQ, right? That's on this Saturday, the 26th. And this will be from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m., right? So 1 p.m. right up into the evening, right? You better get there with your long belly early so that you can get in and do what you need to do, right? Right up into 9 p.m. as well, right? So that'll be Jamming for Justice. And that will be supported in celebration of 100th century. So they would have been 100 years old now, right? They would have been 100 years old, centenary, right, of Franz Fanon, right, Amawale Malcolm, and also Patrice Lumumba. Okay, so let's go and enjoy the gathering, obviously, and enjoy the evening day and associate with those who we appreciate, right? Our brothers and sisters in that way there, right? As I said earlier on, opening the show, that our sister Liz, her mother has passed away. So condolences to her and her family in the passing of that. And I know said that it's a hardship, hard work, that was being put into that. And it just happens that I was in conversation with the chief the other a few days ago, and we mentioned it in passing, and because we're on a similar journey, so therefore, this is how life can be. This is how life is, and it is what it was happened right now. So for those who can give support to our sister, send a message of support in that way there, right? Also sending out messages, healing vibes, healing vibes, healing vibes, healing vibes to all of those who are going through certain things for themselves right now. Various levels of dis-ease and discomfort, right? So we're sending out a balancing vibes for all of honor out there, so that you can feel the energy. Part of the program today is to have a deeper look into our personal journey, personal preparations. As I'm sharing, and I'm very very fortunate to be in the position that I share most of the things that I actually participate in for myself, and also for those who are joining us for the first time and everything. That would, you can also send messages through via the Facebook or the YouTube as well. Even to say hi, or greetings, grand risings, anything that you're interested in being part of, or any information you want to share, please just share it with us as well, right? Also, please, if you're onto those platforms there, right, and I'm asking you to share, subscribe, and share as well, right? Because obviously, it goes towards building up an audience as well, And if you have any subjects you wish for myself and my co-host, Sister Sandra, or even if you would like to be one of the co-hosts on the program, right? If you have a topic of discussion you want to bring to us, right? Please submit that through the mediums, right? Either through the Facebook or WhatsApps or whatever means you can do, and go into there, because we have a Facebook page for the Galaxy for we.net, right? So if you go on there, you can also join that group as well. There's open discussions on there. Obviously, be respectful of what for one another and to one another as well. Okay, so on Saturday we shall all be there, all dressed in our fineries, right? And I'm sure the weather is going to be fine, because I think that the actual weather has predicted to be up into its 20s, right? So come ready and ready. Come ready and ready to shine and be fine. Yeah. And I look forward to seeing you all there, down in the Gunnersbury Park over there, West London, right on Pope Lane, Pope's Lane. Can't believe that. Can't believe that. Even though, right, the passing of the person there, right, that is, yeah, you know what, look, life is life, yeah, life is life, and his time was up, so he passed off right there. So, and that seems to be the main thing on the Western media at this time. Oh, what a great man he was, and da 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 doo, da 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 da. And one of the things that came up for me, right? I was walking. In my local area, and a brother came by. As we see each other, we greet each other in a general way, right? So it's not a bit like it's a person I know, but we greet each other and respectfully. We have a little conversation about this and that and everything. Anyhow, he said, "Yes, it's about time we have a black pope." And I was thinking, that don't sound right. It don't sound right. And the thing is that what I'm thinking now, okay, right, like the euphoria that was felt around having a black president. Not that we didn't have any black presidents prior to that, but one of America, a black president. And wow, now this is it. This is our opportunity. Let me tell you something now. Let me tell you something now. Right? Learn from the lessons that were taught prior to this. Right? Learn. And when I say learn, I mean learn. Everything that you experienced when you thought, oh, here comes the black savior on the white horse. Here comes that black savior on the white horse. Watch him. Yes. Watch out. Look how we stand up now. We stand up strong now because we have one in there. The black savior on the white horse. Yeah. And then what happened? Yes, exactly. Nothing. Because what? It was still the same vehicle of destruction and degradation that was being driven. Now, when you tell me and say to me, yes, we should have a black pope, what is going through my mind? What do you think is going to go through my mind? What do you think is going to go through a lot of people who have been awakened to the state of what has been happening? What do you think is going to go through their mind? Let me tell you what's going to go through their mind. Same thing, different driver. Huh? The same thing all over again. And we've seen them, right? They cost down a person who's living in a liberated state. They cost them down. Right? Be a face in the street. Right? Call them all type and name and everything when they're standing on their pulpit. They call them things there. Right? They don't even know nothing about them. Don't know nothing about them. But they have been told by their masters, or they call them what? Maesters and priests, the ones of higher learning, what has been happening and what is being done. Right? The different types of spirits that we're supposed to stay away from. Different types of energy forces that we're supposed to stay away from. The different types of rituals that we're not supposed to be doing. Right? The empowerment rituals. We're not supposed to be doing that. Don't have nothing to do with them things there. Right? Don't let nobody sway you from what we are saying. I am telling you. Don't let nobody tell you different. Right? Yes, yes. And even when I am not around, let my words sink into your heart and make it so that you remember my words of what I have said. Yeah, yes, yes, yes. Bow your head. Don't even look me in the eye. Don't be foolish. What you chat about? Huh? And then comes along that person who will talk of liberation, greatness, empowerment, strength, reproduction, reparations, fairness of living, enjoyment of life. But don't listen to that person, you know. Don't listen to that person, right? Because whatever that person is talking about is not right. It's not true. You see them foolishness that I want. You see, yeah, them foolishness that I want there. That's the type of thing that these people are saying. And then you say, oh, there be a black pope. Yes. Let there be a black pope. This is the thing, you know. And you wonder why. Why is it that they're so, we heard, we've seen, we've done. We've seen their actions. We've experienced it, even for ourselves personally. Right? We've seen their actions. Why is it that we still are suck up underneath them, behind them? Why we are still doing it? I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. You see, all of our organizations that we see as saying, well, boy, we're here and we've highlighted all their faults and everything, and we are just trying to get things together. We're trying to get things together. We're moving in the right direction, but we're not there yet. But here what? When you're starving, and our people are starving, when you need medical help, our people need medical help. When our children need education, and our children do need that education. When our children or young people or people are oppressed, they're oppressed by a system, and our people are oppressed by that system. Are you providing the needs? Are you providing what their needs are? Are our organizations providing the needs? Are they? Are you part of the machinery that is going to be providing the needs of our people? Does the next generation look to you to be the person or the person that is going to help them to do better from where they are now? Or is it going to be, you know what? Let's just sit down with us. We can make you money. We can make you money. And all you got to do is give us a little bit of money and God will provide for you. Right? As crazy as it sounds, once upon a time stories. As crazy as it sounds, once upon a time stories. But that's what so many people are falling for once upon a time stories. That's what so many people are falling for. The weakness within them has shown them that whoever is the person that is giving you the highest bid is the one that is going to be the one that is going to save you. And guess what? As much as they spit in your face, they have their foot upon your neck in their emblems, what they wear about their body, and they give as gestures of signifying that you are part of our organization, and they have their foot on your neck. Yes, that's what they have on their emblems, to say that I am who I am. And then some people don't even look on it to see what them are wear, what they're representing. They not look on it. But when it's highlighted to them who they're representing, what they're representing, they still do not turn their back on that, because that is what has been feeding them. That is what has been holding them up there, right? Even the soldier them, still we're lining up to go and sacrifice ourselves into a system that does not even care for you, right? Imagine now. You have a child. You raise that child, and your child turns out to be a mass murderer, killer, right? Anything and everything. They just want to kill it, right? Next minute, police come. The police, right? The guardians of them against people like you. And they come and they go, you as a parent are responsible for turning this person into an animal. And you say, well, how could that be? All I've taught him how to do is survive, right? And you're saying that he's an animal. And then right next door to where you live, all of them children there gone into the army, the navy, and all of them. And when them come back, they just sit down there, ready to burst, ready to fall down, right? They come back with, post-traumatic stress, and all them, or syndrome, or whatever it is, post-traumatic stress syndrome, yeah? And they're ready to broke out, right? Soon as they see anything and everything, right? They're just wired for that. Why? Because they've been battled. They've been battle fatigued, right? They're ready. They're just ready to go tear somebody's head off. But they don't take no responsibility for that. Those children next door, but your one, you are the one who's responsible for that now. But they don't take no responsibility for mashing up them people there, right? So when they come back and then they're attacking their people, like their wives, their husbands, right? When they turn around and they're committing suicide, right, at an extraordinary rate, they got no pain. And it's the same thing with all of their system. They come and they destroy you, tear your heart down, broke you apart. And then when they're done with you, right, nothing that they will offer you, nothing that they will do for you will help you. Yeah, that's what they're doing. And it's a fact. If I'm wrong, come tell me. If I'm wrong, come tell me. But then again, let's be honest here. Let's be upright and honest. What are we doing? What are we providing to say, oh, well, we know what's going wrong over there. So what can we do over here? Or what are we doing over here? Huh? What are we doing over here? We're supposed to be running to certain organizations. We're supposed to be registering left, right, and center into most organizations right now for our own liberation, our own journey. That is what we're supposed to be doing. That is what we're supposed to be doing right here, right now. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by their little two-faced smile, right? Oh, why don't you come and join in with us? Right? We're having a fun run. We're doing some charity. We're doing some charity events, right? Oh, yes, we're having a power day for cancer. But I've been showing you how to cure cancer for years, and yet you still look for we've been showing you how to do it, right? We tell you what causing it, but you not listen. Stay away, stay away, stay away, stay away, right? We're still following a lot of the foolishness out there, and we're still having all the diseases. We're dying. We're dying on a daily basis. They are killing us on a daily basis. Our children, from birth, our women, through the processes that they have been subjected to. Our men, dysfunctional. Right? They're so dysfunctional, they can't even go into adulthood. They're acting more like women than men. Just look on all them dressed there, so look. And they think it's okay. Their mentality is saying, yes, this is how I want to look. Right? Even the way how they walk. They not walk with no strength. They must stagger down the street. They're staggering down the street like they have some degenerative disease. Right? They can't even function without having some kind of hallucinogenic type of ingestment in their body. They can't even function. They don't even know what normal is. They don't know what normal and healthy is. Right? Right? When they start to taste real food, live food, they go, oh, what's that? Right? Oh, there's not enough seasoning on that. You must season that properly. You don't not even realizing the history of what the seasoning was. It's when you was eating rotten food. Food that was left to rot is what you were left to eat. Right? Right? Flesh that was rotting. Right? This is why they're finding a delicacy to have, oh yes, this has been aged for 40 days. No, it's been rotting for 40 days. If you look on the maggots, them and everything on it, right? It's been cured. No. What type of bestiality is this thing that you're taking about? Oh, yes, we like to have this stink up, stale up meat. Yeah, man. I mean that. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Please do not get me wrong. Because I love to eat a steak. I love a steak. Right. So even though I'm saying these things, and I know what I'm saying, and I'm very aware of what the implications are. Right. I'm very aware of that as well. Right. But let me tell you the truth and the facts here. Right. If it's dead, it's dead. If it's dead, it is dead. If it's live, it will give you life. If it's live, it will give you life. Right? There are certain things that we can get energy from, things that we can get revitalized from. Some of us have never, hear me good. Some of us have never even tasted live foods. Some of us have never even tasted real food. You hear what I'm saying? Some of us have never even tasted that. It's like when I made my transition to having energized water, right? So I use a Shangat stone. So I use a Shangat stone in a jar to energize my water, right? So most of the water that I have, spring water, fill the jar with the Shanghai stones in there, and it energizes. And let me give you a simple explanation of the effects of that. When you have a kettle and you want to boil water, now if you use tap water, right? If you use tap water, within about half a dozen boils, right, of that kettle, there will be the scales. But what that is just the impurities that has been left behind from the water. And that's from your tap. Okay? So we all know to say that they put chemical and everything inside the water and everything. Anyhow. So, you would use like the bottled water now, right? As what you say, you think, okay, it says it on the bottle, so but who knows what their process is, and of course they're gonna utilize other things and everything with it. But you know what is the best is what you can do for now, yeah. So you use that. So the descaling is not so bad when you use it from the bottle, so it's not so bad, but it still happens, right? Let me tell you something now. I put the water from the Shanghai, from the mason jar, from the jar, right, where the Shanghai stones are. And I'll put that water into the kettle and I'll boil it. Make a hot drink and whatever I need it for. And there would be no scaling. No scaling. Right? Even when you drink the water directly, there's no aftertaste, right? And obviously for those who have that palate, it's like having salt in your food for so long and they're not having salt in there. And everything just tastes, it doesn't taste, you're looking for that salt taste, right? But obviously it hasn't got it. So it's the same thing with the water as well. Once you clear your palate, clean up your palate, in other words, take away all of those impurities or additives. I won't say sorry, not impurities, but additives. If you take away as many of the additives, right? And then you'll find that your taste buds will come back to life. You can taste the herbs. You can taste the different waters, the different region waters, fresh waters. The effect on your body will be of a purification, because what you'll find is, obviously, because it's purifying your body, you'll also be purifying not only your body, but your mentality, because then you'll start to look into a lot of these shots that you habitually would go in. You know, how many of us would just go in and just habitually just grab something off the shelf, right? Just because we know how it tastes. But we're not even study the ingredients. Yeah, come on, let's be honest now. We're not even study the ingredients. But when you study the ingredients now and you see what is actually there, what you're actually taking in, then what? Then what? Then you'll see and you'll be aware of probably some of these side effects that has been happening on your body. So therefore, do you eliminate it? Oh no, I'll just cut down a little. I won't eat it so often, but I'll cut down. Right? And don't get me wrong again. I'm guilty of it as well. But we'll cut down a little. Everything will be good. And then when you come to that state and that realization, you will look upon yourself and say, what is it that I'm doing to myself? Why am I doing this to myself? And the reason why you're doing it for yourself, because you have conditioned yourself to accept what is being given to you. And where's your discipline? And it's not even a discipline, It's a desire. Where's your desire for the best and the betterment of you? You're happy to go and tell everybody about your ailments, about your discomforts. You're happy to go and live a half life instead of the full energetic life that you are entitled to. And then when you're watching somebody who's 10, 15, 20 years older than you, moving twice as fast, twice as energetic by you, you are turning around and saying, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Yes, there is. Oh, yes, there is. There's always something you can do about it. Decide to do better. Decide to do better. Yes? Okay. Right. I've pushed the barrier a little bit. I've gone over the 12. Right. So without further ado, hold on, let me line this up properly first. Right. Let's see if I can find the thing that I wanted to share with you. Where are you? Where are you? Let me see now. Let's see if I can find this thing here. Let me see. Oh gosh. Let's see. Hold on, people. Let's see what I can find. Oh gosh, why can't I find it? I had it right. Oh, here we are. Here we are. Here we are. I found it. I found it, people. I found it. I found it. Okay. Right. So without further ado, let's go in to our midday meditation this strong here on the Galaxy for We.net on the Blacknificent Show.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you lose. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I really loved you. With a love and we never be proud. But I knew it would happen someday. I really tried my best to stay. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you lose. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. Oh no. Oh no. You didn't understand, so you weren't sure. It's not your fault, it's all mine. I guess I was a little bit inside. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you lose. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. Oh no. Oh no. You didn't understand, so you weren't sure. It's not your fault, it's all mine. I guess I wasn't inside. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you lose. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
All of me, oh, well, all of my love, all of loving memory. Drifting on a memory. Ain't no place I'd rather be than with you. Loving you. Well. Day will make the way for night. All we need is candlelight and a song. Well, soft and long. Glad to be here alone with the lover, unlike no other. Sad to see a new horizon slowly coming into view. I wanna be living for the love. All right, girl, all that I'm giving is for the love of you. Oh, yes, I am. Lovely as the ray of sun that touches me when the morning comes, feels good to me. My love and you. Smoother than a gentle breeze, flowing through my mind with ease, soft as can be. When you're loving me, when you're loving me, love to be riding the wave of your love, enchanted with your touch, and sing to me. We could sail together in and out of misery. Well, I wanna be living for the love of you. Well, all that I'm giving is for the love of you. Well, paradise I have within, can feel insecure again with the key. Well, yes I feel, oh yes I see. Now and then I lose my way, using words that try to say what I feel. Well, love is real. Oh, love is real. Might as well sign my name on a card that would make it better. Time will tell, 'cause it seems like I've done all about all that I can do. Well, I want to be living. Good Lord, can you see that? Open your eyes, my brother, into yourself, my brother, into yourself, my sister, and see we are the dream. my people, can't you see? We have to drink, yeah. The Chinese not fighting. Check it out. The white men not fighting. Check it out. The Syrians not fighting. Check it out. All the Indians not fighting. It's only we who have been fighting. And it's only we who have been dying. Yeah. So who is behind this? Mr. Big Show. There must be a big fraud. Mr. Big Show. So who is behind this? Mr. Big Show. I want to know who is behind this, Lord. I want to know who is behind this. Yeah. Good Lord, can see them. Ooh, they are destroying their own brothers. How just can't say. Only the begetters and fire, making the poor more.
Welcome to the Blacknificent Radio Show, where hearts unite and beacons shine bright.
We are been tricked, my people. Can you see? We are been tricked. Yeah. The Chinese not fighting. Check it out. Not fighting. Check it out. The white men not fighting. Check it out. The Indians not fighting. It's only we who are fighting. And it's only we who are dying. Good Lord, can you see that? Check it out, Lord. There's a strong brother. Check it out. Check it out. My brother. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Tell me what do you
You're wondering if I care about you. Is there some cause why I should doubt you? Oh, I can see, boy, that you don't know me very well. You're so unsure, and you run here and there to ask for feelings. Friends only guess they can't say really. Don't ask my neighbor. Don't never ask my friend. I hang around. Don't be a friend. Come to me, don't ask my neighbor. Come to me, come on, don't be a friend. What you see, you'll find I love you. Oh, I love you. Come to me, come be a friend. As for my friends, if I'm mistaken, you don't understand. You think I'm changing. Don't ask my neighbor. Don't never ask my friends. I hang around. Don't be a friend. Come to me, don't ask my neighbor. Oh, to me, come on, be a friend. What you see, I'll make you feel it.
I really need you, woman. Yeah. You say you're gonna leave me, cause you're sick and tired of me. You told me that it's over, and that you've turned a new page over. You travel on my mind, and you're leaving me behind. But before you walk through the door, there is something I've got to make sure of, baby. When you've gone away and left me, don't you dare come back and see me. Cause if I keep on seeing you, baby, you're gonna make me feel so blue. You just leave me behind. So before it happens again, you better leave it like it is for the time being, baby. To love me, if the lights don't go down, if the lights don't go. Girl, when you've gone away and left me, don't you dare come back and see me. Cause if I keep on seeing you, baby, it's gonna make me feel so blue. You broke my heart before, and you're leaving me behind. So before it happens again, we better leave it like it is for the time being, baby. You love me, I still love you. You love me, so if the lights don't low down, I really I just want you to know I love you, baby.
Yes, that's our midday meditation this strong here on the Blacknificent Show on the Galaxy of the We.net. Next up, we'll be moving into our Ancestral Voices segment of the program. Now, oh, come on now. I'm not making no excuses anymore. Sure. Anyway, right, we're moving into the Ancestral Voices segment of the show. As we do with the ancestral voices, what that does, it gives us some insight into the journey of those who have been. And it's not necessarily those who have been, it's those who are doing things now, because as you know, many things are influenced by those who have been. And those who are to come as well. So it could be innovative as well, you know. But it's to be in the opening, to receive the messages and the message of what can be, and what we have done as well. Have you been part of that? I know I certainly have, and yeah. I know that I certainly have. But even if we are part of it, let's see what we can do for the future as well. So, without further ado, let's go into this Strong's ancestral voices. Now, this one here that I'm sharing with you is an excerpt from a series of documentaries that was put together by Tariq Rashid and called The Hidden Colors. This is from one of the first of the documentaries, The Hidden Colors. And many of the information that is shared there is obviously on American based, right? So let's bear that in mind. They're describing things from their perspective, the American perspective. But what I would like us to do is, wherever we are around the world, I would like you to take on into your mind of what history has been influenced in a similar way. Because we see many things around the world. We see many things around the world. But there's always been that influence of others. History. That is how history is. So, without further ado, let's go into this Strong's ancestral voices.
And it had a distinctly African face. But it was Europeanized because the people of the United States did not want to have a black face sitting up there in the harbor. So they carved it out in France. They had to go back to the drawing board and remodel the face after the what they call the patron saint of manifest destiny. So the patron saint of manifest destiny, that's her face on the what they call the Statue of Liberty, which was transposed from the African face. In fact, you see the patron saint of manifest destiny in the symbol for Columbia Pictures at the beginning of the movies. That's the patron saint of manifest destiny. Post-slavery Africans were consolidated. They were more together than ever. Segregation gave them the necessity, or created the necessity for them to maintain a type of cohesion with each other, no matter if it was infighting. They still had their self-interest and the collective interest. So we didn't know who the enemy was back there. Today, after integration, we don't know who the enemy is anymore.
They've changed the history because we seem to be able to do things that other nationalities can't do, and we make it seem easy. We make it seem pretty, and we are arrogant about it, and we have fun with it, and it's just a great thing. And they don't want that. They want us to play the game the way that they have set it up to play.
It's necessary to destroy a man's mind in order to maintain control of him. If a man knows who he is and continues that into his legacies, to his children, then you have problems controlling that man.
Understanding history is one thing, but understanding why the colors were hidden, that's another thing. And the problem is, see, we can't exclude racism, white supremacy. That's the thing we can't escape. A lot of black folks try to avoid talking about it because it makes everybody uncomfortable, but it's a real thing and we have to acknowledge it. A lot of black folks don't really understand racism. And if you don't understand something, you're not going to be able to effectively deal with it and counter it.
Racism, as I understand it, is a global system for the genetic survival of the global white minority population. We usually don't think of whites as being a minority, but they're a tiny minority, fewer than 1/10 of the people on the planet. And they are genetic recessive, meaning that if a black person and a white person mix, the president, Barack Obama, you get a colored person. So if you want to maintain an oppressive process on a group of people, you certainly don't inform them of the depths and details of their history. Just like you don't give them adequate education, you don't maintain adequate housing, etc. Every morning that a black person turns on the television, they are getting their dose and indoctrination with white supremacy. You see, so if you turn on the TV or pick up a newspaper, look at a magazine, unless you understand the system, then you have a grid to put things in their proper perspective. But without that, you are constantly and continuously being indoctrinated by the system itself. You see, but the very fact that people who classify themselves as white would find themselves saying, something's wrong with your genetics, something's wrong with your genetics. In psychiatry, we call that projection. In other words, if I have to keep focusing on your genetics, I must have some doubt about my genetics, and we have the basis for that, meaning, the ability to produce melanin pigment or skin color is a genetically dominant trait.
The issue with black people is this: we hate who we are and love who we can be. We hate who we are, Africans, and love who we can be, Europeans. We do not want anybody to remind us of who we are, which is why we shun Africa. We are trying to get out of who we are. And we think that if we act white enough and marry white enough and dye our hair white enough, then maybe white folks will start treating us like white folks. You are an African. White people have never forgotten it, no matter how much you try to, and you will always be treated like an African. It doesn't matter how many doctors you got. It doesn't matter how light you are. It doesn't matter if your wife is white. You can ask Tiger Woods about that. You will still be treated like a black person.
And even today, if they don't sanction what you do and authenticate it, then it is considered non-valid. And that's unfortunate because that's not true. And we can't allow that to be true. And it was the same as with my work and a lot of other people out here. If you have not attended their school and learned their method, whatever they say it is, they have no respect for independent study when they used to be proud of in America, the self-made man, the self-made woman. That used to be it until it got out of hand and we started creating so many things,
William Shockley, who I debated about Black genetic inferiority, he was a Nobel Prize laureate. He was one of the inventors of the transistors, a professor at Stanford University. Now, he could teach and talk about Black genetic inferiority as long as he wanted, but a Black person cannot talk about why racism exists and continue to teach at a university level. George Wallace found out. He said that's Governor George Wallace.
Yes.
He said when he first went into politics in the South in Alabama, he thought that poor whites, if they would join with blacks, they would have a great deal of political power. You see, and so that coming together of the poor whites and the poor blacks. And he said he soon realized that whites did not care if they didn't have roads, if they didn't have hospitals, if they didn't have schools. They just wanted to know that they were better than the blacks. Now, I say that reasoning comes because the deeper concern was genetic annihilation. You see, in other words, if the poor blacks and poor whites came together and they were working together and functioning together, and then they would pretty soon intermix sexually together, then the end result would be white genetic annihilation.
Racism definitely took a toll on black male-female relationships, especially in the 1960s, because in the 1960s, black men and black women, they were doing what they were supposed to have done for a long time, which was fight together against white supremacy, against racism. And they were doing this with the civil rights movement. So what happened, people had to come in and infiltrate and have a divide and conquer strategy between black men and black women. In 1964, government came in and they pulled black women to the side, and they started to classify black women and women in general as minorities. In 1964, that's the first time they classified women as minorities. So they started to give them set-asides and benefits, and then they created the feminist movement, and a lot of sisters branched off into that, and that kind of created a rift because a lot of sisters stopped fighting for civil rights and they started to fight for women's rights, but women's rights weren't being jeopardized in the black community. Our first priority was racism, and we should have dealt with that first.
We wanted to be free. We didn't need any boundaries, need no man to tell us what to do. Well, we hadn't had no man to tell us what to do anyway. You couldn't tell us what to do in slavery. So we didn't really have no fight with you about that. That was the white woman's fight with her man, but we took it on. I want to be free. Ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. And then women started having babies, what they call out of wedlock. And then that got to be okay too. Oh, it's all right. Once it got accepted by society, all of the rest of the people, then it was okay then to just have a baby. In fact, I don't even want him for nothing but to just have a baby. And then we started saying, I'm gonna be the mother and the father. All kind of nonsense. And so what happened was that movement. And there never was a sisterhood in the women's liberation movement between the black woman and the white woman.
Because you have to understand, in the tactic of the art of war, when you want to destroy a stronger enemy, you have to get rid of the cultural perspective of authority. So what do? You have to destroy the man in the society. And that's exactly what they did. I talk about this in my book. You have to destroy the masculine principle, which is the head of the family. That's part of it. The other part is to get rid of the environment and the ways and means for the head or the authority of that family to become and stay the authority and the head of that family, and that is to be the provider and the protector. Take away his means of providing, take away his means of protecting his family, and he no longer has any rights or any kind of power. So when you have done that, you have now undermined the glue that keeps a family together. Men don't have to be men anymore. So what's the best thing to do? Since you're giving so many favors to women, I might as well be a woman, or at least act like one. And therefore, I'm no longer, as Dr. Francis Crest said, I'm no longer a threat.
If whites are involved in their genetic survival and they are threatened by black male masculinity, then it will occur, I have to reduce his masculinity. We just recently had the president at Morehouse have to say the male students cannot wear high heel shoes and dresses and carry purses. So something is happening, again, within the total context of a system of racism, white supremacy. Neely Fuller, who wrote the textbook for victims of racism a number of years ago, in the mid 70s, he used to say in the system, because he was the first person to talk about racism as a system. And he said that as the system of racism, white supremacy moves on, the system is going to have black men wearing dresses. Now, to hear that in the 70s, people said, oh, this is way out. And here we are. You see, there's some black pediatricians who are saying we are developing epidemic levels of the effeminization of young black males. Well, I say the pants sagging down is just a subconscious invitation for homosexuality. You see, it's revealing the buttocks. See, so the pants are getting lower and lower and lower. The next step is to step out of the pants altogether. And so you step out of the pants, you're going to put on a dress. The effeminization is an essential ingredient of white genetic survival. And the only thing that can prevent it is black people becoming conscious or becoming determined that this is not going to happen to them, because if the black men are destroyed, then the black people are gone, and we have the state of genocide.
They always have in the media that black children inherently have lower IQs. They always show these studies of black children's IQs being lower, but what they leave out is that African immigrants, they come over to America and they outperform everybody else academically, including Asians and including whites.
Because first of all, IQ is so culture-based. I mean, IQ doesn't exist. And the evidence of that is just look around you. Because if that's the case, Europeans ain't doing that great either. Because compared to the world, out of 166 countries that was tested, the United States of America, European American students, there was only 12 countries did worse than the United States of America. So IQ has nothing to do with, that's a lot of game.
First, the concept of IQ, the intelligence quotient, comes out of Germany during the rise of Hitler. It was a German white man by the name of Wilhelm Stern who created the intelligence quotient for population extermination reasons. He was later rejected and put out of Hitler's camp, but the IQ is an invention of Nazi Germany. Now, the first IQ test ever used in the world comes out of France. A European named Alfred Binet, at the request of the French government, was asked to design a test whereby the French government could group or track the students based on how bright they were and identify those who they felt would not be successful in school at all. A white man from New Jersey, Henry H. Goddard, who was a member of the American Eugenics Society, went to France, got a copy of the Binet scales, first white IQ test, brought the Binet scales back to America, made copies of it, and distributed it across the country to white folks everywhere. And Henry H. Goddard himself said that with this tool, we will be able to accomplish our eugenicidal ends. So from the beginning, the IQ test was never meant as an objective standard to see how smart black kids was. It was used to justify access to opportunity and extermination and racial control.
And they're not being taught. I have a boy, Hassan, he's 10, and I took him to school, and he was at the genius level because I had taught him at home. You know, he was like 7 years old. He had an IQ of 153. Well, they made sure they dumbed him down, and 2 years later, he was barely passing. I had to take him. I said, and I fought with him every day.
They snatched it. It's like when our children in school are saying that, you know, when somebody's real smart, they say, oh, you acting white. They don't understand that people that look like them invented thinking. In fact, we were thinking before Europeans were even on the planet. Yet we don't know this about ourselves. And because our children are not familiar with this history of themselves, they can't see themselves because they're taught that slaves came from Africa. And so therefore, I'm going to act like a slave because that's who I am. But they don't see themselves as Imhotep, or they don't see themselves as Queen Nzinga or Preshet, a second dynasty female doctor, or they don't see themselves as Hypatia, a great mathematician and medical doctor. that was skinned alive by the Romans because they did not want to show an African woman being so intelligent, dragged through the community to show people what they were going to do to this African woman.
The African man and the African woman's mind does not operate along European paradigmal structure. So if you're teaching him one way, he's going to automatically fail. If the system is structured for him to fail, of course he's going to fail. You're going to say, see, I told you. That's ridiculous. We know that genius is definitely and always has been in the African mind, because everywhere you go on the planet, you see African genius once left to its own accord. But when manipulated, you could turn him or that genius in her into something that is demonic. Back in 1964, they created a whole other way of teaching your son. It was called outcome-based education. It wasn't about you learning math and knowing what math was. 1 and 1 equals 2. 2 was the answer. If you got 3, you were wrong. But today, if 1 and 1 and you said 3, you said, oh, you tried. It's all right. We'll pass you on. That's all right. You did your best. See, so what they did was in outcome-based education, it became more feminized. It became more of a communal participation in the act or idea of learning, not learning. If you could come together and participate in group things, that showed that you had the ability to be passed on into the new society. If you were a rogue and you jumped out and said, no, I ain't going for this, which is where all the gangs started coming from, because most of the males could not deal in an education system that was like this. And this is why you see most of the females getting the PhDs today, because the system was structured in such a way that took away the challenge that men needed.
And it was through the IQ test, which is the #1 weapon of special education, which is the #1 weapon of special education. They continue to overdiagnose and misdiagnose Black children as being mentally retarded who are not. I had a case in Philadelphia this past summer right here. Some white lawyers asked me to come in and participate in the case. Black boy, 8th grade, diagnosed as mentally retarded. I found out he was never mentally retarded. But when I looked into these tests that were given, they misinterpreted the data. So this young man been walking around with a diagnosis of mental retardation since he was in 8th grade. He's now a young adult. And although he's been told by me and his parents that you are not retarded and you were never retarded, the self-esteem, the self-concept, the self-image is so crushed. This brother probably gonna need therapy for the next 20 years because he bought into what? A super label that white society has given them. The gifted movement really started to take form right after the Brown versus Board of Education decision in 1954. The Supreme Court said you could no longer use race as a factor to segregate groups, but they didn't say you couldn't use disability or ability. So the white folks said, guess what? We're going to come up with a gifted program, segregate the white kids from the Black kids after Brown versus Board, because we're going to say the white kids are too smart. It's not based on skin. It's based on ability. Problem with that, it didn't work too well because a lot of white kids didn't score high on the IQ test. So they said, guess what? This is working for some white kids, but it ain't working for all. So guess what? In 1963, the same year that the Civil Rights Bill was introduced, a Chicago psychologist created the learning disability. The learning disability. And it is through the IQ test and the learning disability that so many of our children are marshaled into special ed kids where they'll probably never learn to read on grade level by the time they graduate.
Do you see, it's like if I took an animal and put it in a cage, and so the animal couldn't grow well. And then I'll say, oh, look at this deformed animal. Do you see? I don't say, I made this creature deformed because of the conditions that I subjected him or her to. And the very fact that, in other words, the logic, in my view, if you felt that Blacks were genetically, inherently inferior, you can give them the very best of conditions, and they would not be able to perform or function. You see, but the need to deprive, at the same time that people are saying, oh, it's cold outside, make sure your dog is in. Make sure your dog gets all the nutrients for growth and development, because you're not fearful that the dog is going to take over the human beings. Do you see? But once you start depriving, systematic deprivation it means, well, I must be afraid of these people maybe overtaking me if I allow them the same conditions, opportunities that I set forth for myself.
The problem of the 21st century in America is, what are we going to do with these 40 million Africans who we do not want here? That is the number one political domestic issue in America. Why? Because AIDS is killing them, but it ain't killing them fast enough. The police are killing them, but they ain't killing them fast enough. The prisons, we are throwing them in there by the dozens every day. But guess what? They still having babies, okay? We're killing the babies on the delivery table, but it ain't getting rid of them fast enough. I was at a meeting last night with a group of parents who have children who are not being successful in high school. And at that meeting, there was a school member who said that she felt in the meeting we were spending too much time discussing the problems and that we hadn't begun to generate the solutions. And I told her that I disagreed with her. And I explained to her why. I said, one of the biggest problems we have as African people is that we are too quick to rush out and fix something you know nothing about. If the engine in my car is broke, and I'm not a mechanic, okay? And if I rush out to the car store and buy all types of fancy gadgets to get my engine running again, and I go up under that engine, okay, I can end up wasting those resources, wasting time, wasting my money, and if I'm not careful, I could probably get killed under that hood not knowing what I'm doing. I got to be patient. I got to get that manual. I got to read through it. I got to study that system, so once I get under that hood, I know exactly what to do, when and where. Problem with black folk is nobody is patient enough to investigate the problem fully, to make sure we understand it, so when we go out to fix it, we don't lose any lives unnecessarily, any resources unnecessarily, any time or money unnecessarily.
Black people have to understand, I had to say first stage, we're not going any place until we understand what we're dealing with. And this is the weakness of our position now. You know, people want to talk about a black agenda with no understanding, no in-depth understanding of what they're dealing with, or being afraid to talk about racism, white supremacy as a total system dynamic. So that's step one, to understand what the game is all about. Step two is, I say, the self-respect factor. See, I have to respect myself at a sufficient level to want to push back the force that is attempting to destroy me. I can't want to integrate with it.
We don't have a think tank. What is something I call it's all over the place, and that's how they always are 20 steps ahead of us, because nobody is thinking and strategizing. We're just reacting, and that's why they're keeping us the way we are. We're reactors. You see, we are not supposed to be reactors. We are supposed to be actors, not reactors. We act upon things based upon a consensus thought. When we come together and we know the strategy, it's because all of the greater thinkers came together and threshed out this plan, and we knew all of where it's going to fail, where it's not going to fail, how it's going to work, where it will work, where it will not work, and we move from that. We don't have that.
That power is the ability to define someone's reality and have that person accept that definition as if it were their own. And we have allowed people to define us as to who we are and what we can do. And we have accepted that as if we thought that ourselves.
So they don't want us to know how great we are, because that's the missing link. If we really knew how great the potential that we have, and that's really all we have left. We have nothing left but our potential. And whenever that potential is able to get free, then we go to the top. They don't keep you out because you're worse. They keep us out because we are the very best.
If we go back to the 1980s, if you remember,
Open like my brother, my brother, yourself, my sister. You see, we are the trip, my people. Can't you see? We are the trick. Yeah. The Chinese not fighting. Check it out. The white men not fighting. Check it out. The Syrians not fighting. Check it out. The Indians not fighting. It's only we who have been fighting. And it's only we who have been dying. Yeah. So who is behind this? Mr. Big Show. There must be a big fraud. Mr. Big Show. So who is behind this? Mr. Big Show. I want to know who is behind this, Lord. I want to know who is behind this. Yeah. Good Lord, can you see them? Ooh, they are the soldier of others. Oh, what I just can't say. Only the better than fire. Making the poor more. Making the numbers molested. And you see, we are preaching, my people. Can you see, we are preaching, yeah. The Chinese not fighting. Check it out. The Syrians not fighting. Check it out. The white men not fighting. Check it out. The Indians not fighting. It's only we who have been fighting. And it's only we who have been dying. Yeah. Good Lord, can you see that? Bring it back, oh Lord. There's a lost brother. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out, my brother. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Tell me what do you think?
Yes, yes, yes. For those who were around at the time, we was all excited about the release of those series of documentaries. Even though some of us were very familiar with the information that was there, but it was presented in a dynamic way. And I feel, when you just need to revisit, review, So if you have access to those series of videos or DVDs, yes, it would be DVDs, wouldn't it?
Back in those days, definitely.
DVDs. I know that some of them are currently, right? I know that some of them are currently on the YouTube where I got that excerpt from anyway, right? And if you're able to, I would say get a view of them very quickly, right? If you're able to download them, if you haven't got a copy of them, download them, because obviously, there's a new broom. Well, no, it's an old broom that is sweeping right across the media right now. So eventually all of those, as we will call gems, will be disappearing in one way or another. So do what you need to do. Get yourself a couple of high volume hard drives. Download all the information that you can. Books as well. Who was it? Who was it now? Brother Io. He was well ahead of the game on this a few years ago, and he gave me a key, right? He gave me a key, and I put it into the computer, I think there must be over 2,000 different books onto this thing here, covering all different various subjects, history,
Mm.
business, and everything. And I think, wow, wow, you know, it would take me a good lifetime to go through the material anyhow,
Mm.
but at least it's there at my fingertip.
Mm.
Understand?
Mm.
And if we have information like that, we need to yes, obviously look at it, get adverse to well versed with the material that you have,
Mhm.
right? And also share it as well, right? Because remember, knowledge is a thing that we need to share, right? It's no use you taking it in and just holding it in yourself. You have to be sharing it out as well.
Mm.
Anyhow, welcome, my sister Sandra. Welcome.
Welcome, Blacknificent family.
So, where in the world are you now, my sister?
I am currently in Texas.
Texas.
Yes.
Tech them and tech we too.
Mhm.
In Texas. Well done, well done. I have to give a regional check-in with you because me not know where you're there. Uh, any one time, Is everything going okay for you over there?
Yeah, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Everything is going as as planned.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely as planned. So
That's good.
currently enjoying and
Mm-hmm.
just making use of another experience.
Mm-hmm.
As we make use of the experiences, we grow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Right. As you heard on the ancestral voices there, looking at certain things, that patterns of behavior, some of them were revolutionary, right? I had to laugh when I'm hearing some of the information that they were sharing. And remember, this was over in what the 90s, isn't it? The 90s, isn't it? When the Hidden Colors came out, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. It
Yeah,
was
it
nice,
was.
but it was late 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
wasn't 2000. It was before 2000.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm sure it was.
Yeah,
And
mid to
what?
late 90s.
Right, and then like the information that they were sharing was 20, 30 years in the discussion anyway,
Mm.
right? So if you really add it all up, this was like 30, 40 years ago that they were talking about things that were predicted into the future. So it brought a smile to my face when I was reviewing that video, and like how the trend is even now, and
No,
it just
um,
it just
2011.
what is that?
2011 potentially.
Oh wow, okay,
And that. Yeah,
wow,
2011.
wow, I didn't realize it was so late. I thought it was earlier than that.
Mm.
But anyway, yeah. So and when we really look at some of the information that they were sharing, right, from 70s, 80s, right, that that obviously the trend was already predictable, and obviously when they were talking about like the behavior of men,
Mm.
right,
Mm.
and and the trend of men. Now, obviously, we well, I grew up in that period, that time there, right?
Mm.
60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, right? So that's when I was coming through. So I was obviously going to be influenced by the information that was being shared at that time,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And by such like lecturers
Mm.
and information that was going to be given to us. So we just take, as we say, as it's revealed, we're taking it on,
Mm.
right? If we do our own personal research, then we can differentiate between what is right, what is wrong, how does it fit within our society. That's why I asked at the beginning to bear in mind that this was an American-based documentary,
Mm.
so they're taking it from their perspective. And then I asked to actually look on it, and then see how it can be related to us,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Not in a sense of grasping what they're saying and then putting it directly into our community, but look at the influences in our community, type of thing, you know?
Mm.
Now, as we know, like here in the UK, right, and in quite a few places, that they've adopted a lot of the practices and terminologies, right, from the American perspective, right? In other words, they associated themselves with this I've I've got nothing, or ghetto mentality,
Mm.
right? But when we really think of this now, right, as a trend of the young people at the time, as a trend of the young people, and I'm asking this as a question, really, right, and to the listeners as well. Do you think do you think that we could do a comparison or live within a comparison as the Americans, right? Because in my opinion, they were very expressive in their political struggle,
Mm.
right? Even though we had our own political struggles and social struggles,
Mm.
right? So I'm asking the question to start it off, right? Do you think that we here, like for instance, in the European perspective, and as a young person and your experience, do you think that we took on the American ghetto mentality in preference to establishing ourselves and taking advantage of what we had in our own way? And I'm playing the advocate as well. I'm playing that little as well. I'm the one sitting on the bench today.
Well, I'd say the influence
hmm
from this side definitely
hmm
impacted and or influenced the education system, because within that video
hmm
they were talking about IQ.
hmm
So they don't necessarily use the word IQ with the same passion in the UK. However, they do have assessments and tests
hmm
that are based off of those said IQ. So I would say there are, and in terms of some of those thought processes, I would say yes, there is a correlation and or a reflection in
hmm
terms of how what we were treated. So bearing in mind for me, the route is the same. The destination for both UK and or America are different. The influences were there was a joining. So in terms of, I say the route is the same.
hmm
As groups, we were brought over.
Okay.
So that's what I mean in terms of the routes are the same.
Mm.
The journey was different because within the American system, there will literally be individuals who have lived it
Yeah.
because they were part of that system.
hmm
Whereas in the UK, we've not necessarily lived it in the same way because a number of us would have come from the Caribbean. But in order to get to the Caribbean, whatever island it is within the Caribbean, our route would have been the same as the Americans. That's what I mean in terms of the route. But the thinking in terms of the young people and or dumbing them down, or discouraging rather than encouraging from an education system. If I'm thinking about the first generation, call them Windrush generation, and those children that were going into the education system as it was at the time, and many of them were able and capable, but were they given the same opportunity as their white counterparts? And in my humble opinion, they weren't always given that same opportunity. And then if you think about, and it was mentioned, I think it was by Umar Johnson in terms of the, he mentioned AIDS, he mentioned the prisons, and he mentioned something else. So if you think about and he mentioned that in terms of the women are getting the PhDs and the men are just literally being taken out because of how they are being socialized and or educated. And I think there's a similar thing in terms of the UK. If you think about organizations and women having or appearing to have more opportunity or progress further up that ladder than their male counterparts.
The thing is, even as you're speaking there, I will say as well, I haven't had any experience of that adolescent or pre-adolescent time outside of the UK. Right. First time I actually came out of the UK is when I was in my mid-20s. Right. So in that way there, I don't have any comparison. I don't have no comparison of like saying that I know somebody or I've been to somewhere while I was young and had that interaction with people of like my age as I was growing up through that. Right. So I'm kind of like, although I'm paying an advocate while I'm doing this presentation here or doing this program, my actual experience, it's only based within the UK. So, but were you able to have your younger years or younger days outside of the UK?
So I traveled when I was younger. I traveled under the age of 10 to Jamaica, and I saw a different way of life.
Yeah, exactly. I never experienced that.
And one of the questions I asked my mum when I came back was, or even when we were there, do you know those people? Because she was saying, she was greeting everyone she met. She was being greeted by everyone who saw her. For me, that was a strange concept. Because in the UK and the other barometer that I have is just listening to the conversations my parents and or elders were having at the time, and then listening now to the conversations that those who went to went through the education system in Jamaica for a short period of time and or for their first formative years. So even in terms of my best friend when I was at school, Marlene, she had grown up in Jamaica and had done her formative years in Jamaica. And I know I was holding on to her coattails because of what she was, just in terms of the thought process. And we would talk and we would laugh and we joke as children do. But when she was either doing a presentation or responding to the teachers, you could see the confidence and her ability shining through in terms of all of us who had gone through the UK system, to the point that we were given, and the thing is that she was allowed to, or encouraged to, make use of the library facilities more so, and that's how I got into the library and became accustomed to and speaking to the librarian.
You became, as we used to term it, a bookworm.
Yes. But that was literally because she was my best friend and I could see the difference. And then if I fast forward 20 years on, probably 15, 20 years on, my cousin again, who came over from the Jamaica to the UK, and she was due to enter at the age of 15, went to college, and there was nothing the school could do for her because she already knew it all, but she didn't do any of the school exams in terms of at that time it would have been CSEs, not CSEs, it may have been O-levels. Yeah, it still would have been the O-level system. So she went straight into college. Now she's an accountant because she had the foundation in terms of the learning foundation in Jamaica and was able to translate it over here. But they already came, those two individuals already came with their tool bag of knowledge and information. Whereas those of us that were here, we were fighting our way through the system. And the system, our parents weren't always, even though they say, depending on where your parent comes from, will depend on whether or not they are encouraging you to be the doctor, the dentist, the lawyer, the teacher, or whatever, the professional. But our parents were fighting on the front of just finding accommodation, work, the day-to-day living. So there, in terms of my parents, I can speak for, and those around me, it was more a case of working in a system that didn't necessarily want you to be there.
I hear you, because it seems to be like a fight and a struggle all the way, right? With me, the front wrapped up in the bubble of the end of the world is going to come soon, so why should I make an effort? And then just using my natural abilities and just ambling and not really caring about what was going to happen, because the world was going to end anyway, right? It wasn't a worry for me in the sense of, I need a job and everything else and and then when I got to the age of about 13, 14, I thought, wait a minute, just in case this thing doesn't happen, the end of the world, I better start doing something. Right? And then that's when I, as they say, pull your socks up type of thing. It was like a crash course of like, damn, I better get myself into this race of academia.
You've shared with us your story in terms of having the motivation and not getting the support within the education system. So the education system would have quite happily have seen you as a young black boy failing.
Yeah. And there's many a person that I know that left from there, right? Who could have done a lot better for themselves, but
Mm.
they were even less motivated than me.
Mm. So that's the reason why I say that, whether it be over across the pond in the UK, the route is the same. The journey may be slightly different, but the outcome there are very similar in terms of the encouragement, in terms of the drive, the motivation, and in some senses for me, it's almost like, well, if you take the parents out of the equation and you keep them on their toes, unless they are highly motivated, their children will slip through the net.
Oh yeah.
So the ones that are highly
It
motivated
needs that infrastructure of support in one way or another, whether it be from the household or through supportive education tactics. Yeah, like you may need that extra tutor. Yeah, Might even be the might even be your brother, sister, cousin, or whatever. But you need some kind of support system, and doing it by yourself, as it was mentioned in there, is kind of like you're failing yourself if you try to do it by yourself. You know. Also the measures that has been provided as well, right, has been a thing that has that I feel has broken the back of many a person, right? In other words, you don't fit into what we need. Yeah. So if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, I think it's a trend amongst most of these youngsters now, isn't it? I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah, but what are you doing? I'm working on my business. And you think, well, what is your business? Yes, I'm working at something and it's going to come through and I'm going to be rich and all. And I think, so what are you actually doing?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because my young cousin, they're going to have an careers day.
Yeah.
So she said that she's just come home with that letter and she should have showed it to her parents. So I just asked her out of curiosity. I said, so what do you want to become? And she mentioned what she wanted to become, and I thought, okay, it's not a traditional occupation. So I asked some more questions, and I recognized that you can make money from that. Will it give you the longevity? Is there enough from a creativity in order to do that? Maybe not. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to set you a task. I need a definition, because you say you want to do X, Y, Z. So I need a definition, and B, I need up to 100 words where you're telling me what you want to do and why you want to do it. Because if you love it enough, to me, that's easy. You may not necessarily, and again, I was listening to somebody day before yesterday, and they were saying that when they were 7, they wanted to be a doctor. Again, the young man that I'm mentoring, he's 12.
One wanted to be a pilot, isn't it? If I
He
remember.
wants to be a pilot.
Yeah.
So I know those are the traditional professions, and not all children will want to go into those professions, but they are able to speak about elements of it. And the young lady that said that she wanted to be a doctor, she said she didn't know how, but she knows she wanted to be a doctor. The young man that wants to be a pilot, he doesn't actually know how, because initially when we were speaking, he had a vague idea, but it's only after he interviewed a pilot that he had more of a knowledge of what it takes to become a pilot and to stay as a pilot, and the lifestyle, etc., the sacrifices you need to give up. So that's why I'm setting my younger cousin, who's only 8 going on 9, the task of, if that's what you want to be, yeah, we'll all support you.
Mhm.
However, help me to understand exactly what it means to you.
Mm.
So many a young person that wants to go into the music or wants to go into the arts,
Mhm.
those who are truly dedicated to those sides of the profession, they'll be sleeping with the posters on their wall. They'll be involved in living the life in their head. They may not necessarily understand it, or they can only understand it as much as they see it on the television or in the media, but they're living it in their head. So that's why I'm just asking her just to help me to live it, see what's happening in your head.
Mm.
The beautiful thing that she has and the beautiful things that we have, bearing in mind we're at opposite ends of the proverbial scale. The fact that we're still here living and breathing means there's still an opportunity. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we can't pivot, we can't switch. But whatever you choose to do at this moment in time, make it be your choice. Don't make it be a choice because it's what your mum wanted or your dad wanted or your brother wanted or your sister or the media says this is what girls must do or this is what boys must do or this is what adults must do. Make it be something that you choose to do.
Yes.
Because it's something that it's your purpose right now. It may not be your overall purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It may be just a stepping stone to get you to where you want to be. And that's what I'm encouraging her to think about in terms of, that's why I said 100 words. She wasn't happy with it. But
that's a challenge, isn't it?
It is, but you know what? She wants to do things with media. So my reasoning is make use of that media. Let it help you.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Let it help you.
Mm-hmm.
Use it to be creative.
You know, even as you said that media, right? I was watching just a few days ago actually. That there was this. I'm trying to remember how it goes now. There was one of these like dating program things type thing, you know, and it was just a clip, and somebody like the man asked the woman, he says, "So what do you do?" And they says, "Oh, I'm a content creator and a manager, TikTok manager."
And
he goes, "Oh, okay." He goes, "So what do you do then?" Right? And he said, "Well, I make content for TikTok." So what do you actually do? You know, like that was the extent of how what she was explaining it, and then like even as he was asking it, I was thinking, so what do you actually do then?
And that's the type of thing that I would say, okay, come back to me with 100 words that give me a definition. Your definition doesn't have to be Oxford Dictionary or any of those others, Webster's. It needs just to be a definition, but give me some more further context. Or what does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like to you? In not only in your head, but in real time. Because I can make an assumption of what content creator is.
Yeah, exactly.
I can make an assumption of what an influencer is, because between what she's doing, she wants to influence, but I don't know what her reach is. And I don't know how far
you can come and reach upon this program yourself.
Well, it will, yeah, it will be interesting.
Yeah,
it can go.
Yeah. You know, but you know, these are the things that we, you know, this is what this program's about. Really, is to see where we're challenged, right, and put it into a proper context, or verbally or visually or something like this, because this is where a lot of us are not looking at these aspects of what life has to offer. Right? My challenge now is to catch you up, because you've published a book now, so I've got to try and catch you up now.
a presentation, an event on Saturday, and
Okay.
that's in terms of thinking about.
Is that in Texas where you are now? You're going to be doing that?
This is going to be online. So it's thinking about embracing change, even
Hmm.
when you don't want to.
Okay. All right. So give us the details of that, so we can all be tuning in or logging in if it's that type of event that it can be open in that way.
Yes, it is. It is that type of event whereby you can. Yes, it is that type of event whereby it's having that conversation, and for me, moving the dial, because when we think about change, and we've lived through a series of change, but are we embracing the technologies, or are we fearful of that said technology?
Technophobes.
Yes.
Mm.
And to be fair, that horse has already bolted. So when we think about technology and we think about AI and we think about the opportunities that are out there, if we think that we can bury our head in that proverbial, then we do ourselves no service. And if we're thinking about what's the next big thing, it's embracing the technology, seeing how and where it can work for you and with you. So that means you get the opportunity to enhance your future aspirations, productivity, etc., etc. So if we think about where was I going on this? So if we think about AI as we know it, and thinking, oh, it's just a recent thing, 2022, just before COVID or just after COVID. They've been looking at this from 2014, 2012, 2014.
2014. Okay. Now.
I'm going to need to come back to you. I'm going to come back to you.
Okay
So
then. Okay.
hold that.
All right. Yeah. So for me, right, AI. We was looking at development of artificial intelligence apps. Right. We was looking at that before then, surely. Yes, we was looking at that way before that. So, but it's the fact of like to be more au fait with what's available right now, isn't it? Right. I know that what's constantly popping up on my phone all the time is invitations to get to know what AI is. You can learn this over the next month. Learn how to use 30 or different apps that's going to enhance your life. But the thing is that even as I'm speaking about it, most of the apps that I've seen out there, when it comes to things like that, right, are in the basis of subscription, right? In the basis of subscription. Okay then. in the basis of subscription, and also in the basis of it can be time consuming, as well. And each one has its draw and its magnetism. So therefore, that's how life can be. So, yeah, I got one here. Got one here. if I put this, hold on. Let me put this in. No. I can't answer that one. Got a message. One of the message on the YouTube. It was pointing out my ethnicity. So thank you very much. Right? Who's that? Papa Baby. Yeah, Papa Baby. Whoever it is. Anyhow, thank you very much for that. Pointing out my ethnicity. Oh dear, some people. Happy George's Day. Anyway, yeah, yes. So when we look at like AI as a future thing, it I have to say that obviously things are moving in that direction. Voice activation on most things, facial recognition, right? Not only facial recognition but body scanning as well. If you're linked in one way or another way, like you may be wearing a device now, right? For instance, like a watch or some other device that is going to be a health monitoring thing as well. So being that so-called technophobe, right? I'm sure that has influenced you in one way or another. You look like, for instance, when I'm riding on the bus now. When I'm riding on the bus, guarantee 90% of the people have got their head down or face down to their phone, right? And they're oblivious to anything and everything else what is happening around them. They're oblivious to it. They couldn't even tell you the person who was sitting next to them on the ride for the last 10 bus stops. Anything. They couldn't even tell you that because they're just caught up in their own world. But hey, that's the way how they want to be anyway. You know. Yeah. So we're looking at the IQ as well. The IQ. Looking at the various IQ, right? The intelligence quantifier, right? The intelligence quantifier, that test, and how. And then one of the things that I feel that needs to be pointed out is that it is based upon region. It is based upon region. Obviously, um, initiated and developed in a Europeanized concept, but it was used, as it was highlighted in that docket and the ancestral voices. It was used as a weapon to segregate, right? The sexes and the races as well. So in that way, there obviously, you know what? If you ask a man about raising a child, right? Obviously, the advantages of that or the answers of that is going to be mainly from the woman anyway, right?
Mm.
And if I put it as blatant as that, but the subtleties about this type of thing has been pointed out over the years. My answer to that is, or counter answer to that is, right?
Mm.
It's basically make our own intelligence quantifiers for us, right?
Mm.
It's like the education system, the examinations. Make our own examinations, right? We should have our own schools. Our schools that were, I'm sorry, our education and senior education, right, was one of the first was one of the first international types of education that was based within Africa, right? That they used to send students from around the world to go to those places,
Mm.
right? And I'm not saying that it didn't happen anywhere else, but that was one of the highest recognized at the time, like the Oxford and Cambridge of the UK
Mm.
thing.
Mm.
But we had those in Africa, and
Mm.
that basically, obviously, the teachings of there would be an African based,
Mm.
and that is why a lot of the science which we see is related to African science,
Mm.
African based types of science.
Mm.
In other words, like the architectures of a lot of these cities, as they were designed, would have used the mathematical um, principles that was taught to them, right, or but they handed down through them through the teachings and from the teachings of the architects of what was successful prior to them,
Mm.
which was the African cities.
Mm.
The infrastructures that was there. Notably, Washington was designed with that in mind as well, right? And
Mm.
it has been acknowledged that what it was based upon, and that's what it is based upon. You know, but we unfortunately just brush over it like it's nothing. It's not. It's not sung and praised about as much as what it needs to be or it should be.
Mm.
For instance, we need to have these people as figures of notoriety in our homes, in our minds, on our lips, right?
Mm.
As much as what we have Beyonce, or for one reason or another,
Mm.
right? Or whoever is the trend at the time.
Mm.
You know? But that again is our failing. I feel it's our failing because we are allowing our so-called trendsetters to set the trend of the levels of education and the direction of what educate and the substandard of acceptance as well,
Mm.
um, pacifying them. We're pacifying their education.
Mm.
In other words, right? In other words, if it's wrong, it's wrong. You know. But even from that little smile there, I know that's a pacification
Mm.
there. Right?
Mm.
You just have to say, yes, you're right. Right? But this is unfortunately we've fallen into that category, I think,
Mm.
of allowing things to slide too much. Too much.
Mm.
Anyway,
Mm.
back to your point of discussion, right?
Mhm.
Allow like where do we see the AI as or artificial intelligence, right? Development, right? And how do we see our part that we should be playing in it? So, like for instance, now, okay, I've my contract on my phone
Mm.
has passed, right? So every now and then I get a message of saying I can upgrade.
Mm.
Okay. Personally, I don't see any sense in me upgrading at this stage,
Mhm.
right? Mainly because what am I upgrading to?
Okay.
I'm not even using the full use of the phone that I have at this time.
Mm.
Okay. Oh, hold on, let me see. Right. I'm not getting the full use of the phone at this time,
Mm.
right? So even if I upgrade,
Mm.
right, And like your training to be AI facilitator,
Consultant.
consultant,
Mhm.
what advantages would you say that it would be for me to do that then?
Depends on what you're going to use it for. So if you're
Yeah.
using your phone just for a ring, then there's no need to upgrade. But if you're using your phone as a camera, taking pictures, good quality pictures that you may want to at some point download, use for other purposes, as in part of promotions, advertising, memories, family memories, etc., then there's some benefit in terms of upgrading. Bearing in mind then that the phone is effectively a computer in your pocket.
Yeah.
So if you're doing your searches, your internet searches, the phone can be useful in relation to that. But if you're doing it in terms of you're using it in some senses from a business point of view, so you're keeping tracks of, and you're making contact with, and you're reaching out to, you can set up your phone whereby those messages become automated.
Okay.
So you can then say, okay, then I know that I'm looking to meet up with, or I'm going to connect with, or I need to be reminded of, or remind somebody about something. Then you can make that phone in order to do that. But if, like I said, if you're just using your phone for a ring, but in my humble opinion, there are things that you can do a lot quicker and a lot faster. So rather than
All right,
revert,
this is my thing. This is my thing now. Old school as it may be, I still like a tangible book, for instance, right? I still like a tangible book. Obviously, technology moves on, blah blah blah, and everything else, right? I am partial to also to like audio books and things like this as well, right? Now, I can see the advantage of me using it as a reference, right? I can see the advantage of that, and occasionally I do use it as a reference and everything else, and I can see that side of it, right? Now, practicalities of all of these apps that I'm seeing, I'll tell you now, like I would say probably about a good third of the apps that are on the phone, even currently, I've never even touched, never in touch. And as I was sharing earlier on, that the subscription to a lot of these things as well, right? Because obviously, things have to be paid for, blah blah blah,
yeah.
and everything else. Now that is a massive add-on cost if you take on saying, all right, then I've got to use like 10 apps to make it feel like it's more efficient, right? So you'll be taking on additional costs in that idea, right? So is that part of what you would actually cover as well?
If you're looking at the automation and the apps are part of that automation, the question is, do you need them, and are they of benefit to you, and are there other ones which will be of greater benefit to you? So you may use, just as an example, you may have Siri or Alexa on your phone as an app. It becomes an audio device as well as but then if you're not using Amazon Prime, for argument's sake, the question is, why have Amazon as an app on your phone? So there are millions of apps out there. There are things that, like I said, that you can potentially do quicker and faster. So then you get rid of the apps that you don't use and only have the apps on there that you do use or you do choose to use. But be mindful then that you've mentioned in terms of from an audio point of view, you're looking to at some point write a book. So you may want to keep a journal and keep an audio journal which can then be, from an automation point of view, be transferred into the written text, which can then be transferred into a audiobook and or a written book using another piece of technology, whereby you then don't have to handwrite it out. Your good old-fashioned doctor's handwriting or perfect formed syllables, written calligraphy. You don't have to allow that to stop you from creating your voice and your story in text.
Okay.
If you're thinking about
the only one that I would look to really look for something now would be a translator.
yeah, so you can get a translator. There are a number of translators that you can use, even in terms of this show. There's a cost to it, but you can get the show live translation. So even though we're speaking in English, if we've got our French brothers and sisters or Spanish speaking brothers and sisters on the continent or on different parts of, whether it be Europe and or the world, they can be listening to the show with a translator. That, and again, then if they rang up, they could speak in their native tongue. We would get the translation into English. We would respond in English, and it would be translated back to them in their native tongue. And that's all out there possible. The challenge is that a number of, obviously, our African dialects won't necessarily be on there, and languages won't necessarily be on there, but there are a significant number of other languages that are on there that can be used. And if you're thinking about, and if I'm going into a meeting now, and I'm doing a meeting regarding any or most, if I'm working on a project and I'm working with others and we're doing a meeting, the days of me taking handwritten notes are just like, yeah, long gone. Don't do it. Make use of another app, and I can get my meeting notes transcribed. I can even get the video transcribed, and yeah, I can get the video downloaded because I'm using Zoom. Get the video downloaded, and I can get the meeting notes transcribed. And if I manage the meeting well, I can just only look at what are the highlights. Good to go.
Okay, great. That sounds interesting in that way there.
Yeah.
Okay,
If you're having meetings now, my reasoning is there is no need for you to have a secretary and have a meeting, and then you all agree things. You walk away, and everyone goes to sleep and wakes up the next morning. But you said you was going to do this, and you said you were going to do that, and this is your responsibility. And they're turning around thinking, well, yeah, I remembered it and I said it at the time, but the meeting notes haven't come out, so I've not necessarily remembered that I'm supposed to be doing that. But that meeting finishes, and within 2 minutes, 5 minutes, everyone's got a transcript. So there is no excuses. You can fall asleep with that information sitting on your phone for when you wake up. And the video there can be looked at, and you can literally go to, okay, we spoke at 1 hour into our meeting. I can go directly to that 1 hour. I don't have to scroll all the way through and think, okay, when did we say that? Oh, is it too early, too late? You don't have to play those games no longer. You can all get it under the one. You just go, yep, it's 59 minutes and 45 seconds. Yep, that's where I'm going. That's the beginning of that conversation.
Okay.
Or even if you're thinking, okay, you're looking at YouTube, and you're thinking, okay, I want to the content. I love what I see from a content point of view. And I want to use that as a barometer to say, okay, I want to create content. You can download a transcript of the content, and you can then recreate something that's in your voice, in your tone.
Yeah.
But you can, and it's you can do it in 5-10 minutes, less than 5 minutes.
Okay. That sounds interesting as well. Listen, I've got Brother Akram on the line, right? Let's hear what he's gonna give in to us. Hopefully, this is in context of what we're discussing today as well,
Okay.
right? Yes. Good afternoon, Brother Akram. Right?
Yes, Brother Akram.
Yeah, Grand Rising.
How are you? How are you?
Yeah,
my
Grand
brother?
Rising to you, Brother Ashton, and Grand Rising to Sister Sandra.
Mhm.
Yeah, so far we give thanks. I mean, as I said, I'm none the worse. I mean, every day is a blessing. As I said, I'm none the worse. So I'm gonna give thanks for that.
Good.
And it could be a lot worse, but yeah, I'm still here fighting the fight. But yeah, it was interesting topics today, and one they call it intelligence and what do you call it?
Artificial
IT,
intelligence. Yes.
Intelligence.
artificial intelligence, and also you were talking earlier about also traveling at a very early age and things like that.
Yes.
And yeah, it's all very interesting, and but I will come to the point of IT first, because as I said, I remember 30 years ago. 30 years. It's only 30 years. Yeah, 30 years ago, because when I was thinking of moving to Africa, and I remember my wife she went and learned typesetting, because computers was not really that great at the time. And within a year, by the time we get there in 95, I mean, computers was, because we was going to do cards and things like that, But by the time we got there, computers was out, so people were able to, drop cards, like Christmas cards, birthday cards, and things like that on the computer. So this typesetting was basically out of date at that time, you know what I mean? And at that time, you had electric typewriters and things like that, So for me, as we move forward, we need to move along with changes. I mean, I know a lot of people have problems with this artificial intelligence. Yes, it's good in some ways, but it's bad in some ways when they want to keep your records and this and that. But for a lot of things, as the world moves on, right? I mean, you couldn't sit down there writing, I mean, imagine everybody comes to the airport and you have to sit down and write everything and write every person. It's so much more easier to just, I mean, like they go there now, you can scan your picture, just walk through, I mean, thousands of people traveling. So it will make our life much easier. I mean, communication is vitally important, especially in the fast world that we're living in. So to me, what you're saying there about, I mean, I could be speaking to somebody. I mean, I remember many years ago when I had my shop. This was back in the 80s, 90s.
Yes.
And because I had a cousin working in the telephone exchange at the time, and I forget, there was something that was necessary that I needed to speak to my mother there, and the police came, and it was something that to do with them anyway. But anyway, I just get on the phone, called, and he just jumped. You call what you need, I mean, he was shocked that at that time I was able to just communicate with the Caribbean just like that,
Yes.
because I called my cousin and she just put me through the phone.
Yeah.
You see? So yeah, so sorry, you were going to say something?
No, I was just agreeing and smiling when you said in terms of just having that instant communication. And the surprise, because unless you were able to do that, the end result would have been slightly different. And recognizing then, as you said, in terms of your wife doing the typesetting, and within that period of her learning and wanting to do something with it, the technology had moved on. And that's what I would encourage our Blacknificent family to think about, is technology is moving on. Waiting and seeing whether or not how it's moving on, or thinking, is it going to move on? All you're just doing is you're not doing the best that you can do for yourself, because from a technology point of view, there's no reason why we can't all benefit from the various angles of technology and the applications, because there's over 40,000 different apps out there. The fact that you think you've got a lot on your phone is a mere drop in the proverbial ocean in relation to the various things that we can and we do have access to with the use of the technology that's out there at the moment.
Well, most certainly, because I mean, I've just started. You were just talking about the translator, and I just started using it because I mean, I cannot speak the language that I'm in very well. So now I'm able to communicate with the workers and so forth through having that sort of technology. You know, so it's I mean, as I said, the world is moving on, and we have to recognize that, you know, because some people don't want to move on, and I don't think that is a very good notion, because as I said, you know, the speed at which the world is moving now is just unbelievable. You know, I mean, as I said, the amount of things that you can do. I mean, and you were talking earlier about writing so many different words. I'm not very much into as you said, the language situation, because that was always my weak point, you know, in school, you know, writing and so forth. But I remember, because my wife was studying for law, and she come home and she said, I got to write something of 40,000 words. I said, what? How do you sit down and start writing something for 40,000 words, you know, and things like that? I'm saying, wow. I mean, you know, you have to be of a certain mind to be able to sit down and, okay, I'm going to write something, I'm going to write an essay, I'm going to write something, and it's going to be about 40,000 words or something like that, you know what I mean? And because I remember when she used to do, shorthand. I don't know, is shorthand still viable now, or is it out of date now? Because as you rightly said, the situation of being able to record, you know, because these are some of the things I have had to learn over the years, because, and you know, somebody taught me how to cut and paste and all these sort of things. So I've been able to do that, but without my family who's up in those sort of levels to help me, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But the fact is, it's so vitally important, as you were rightly saying, you know, and you know, to be able to do that. But this thing of shorthand, because I think you will probably know, is it still a valid thing today?
It's not, because if I think about when I was in the working in civil service, the first thing that changed for me, that I saw as a definitive change, was when I walked in at the early days. There was a computer room, and there was a typing pool. So there was the room with all the big computers, floor to ceiling, and there was another room where there was typists effectively around, in probably about a dozen of them in a space, and they were typing letters, taking dictations for various managers. And with the technology advances, the computer room became a specific computer on different desks. So that room was refurbished, and then the typing pool was the next thing that was disbanded, and individuals, because there was a computer, because rather than them having to, if even the mere fact of going and having to organize the printing and stuff like that, taking things down shorthand, that then became redundant. They still needed individuals who were taking minutes and notes, so they would still do the shorthand, but they'd be doing it in a more efficient way. But now, if I think about Wordly, which is the translator, and or if I'm thinking about, it will come to me in a minute, the ones that take notes, one's Otter and there's another one, as an AI application. You don't need anyone to take notes for you. What I'm speaking will automatically be transcribed into a written format that somebody else can use if necessary, or I can use. So yeah,
it's wonderful. I mean, as I said, I'm beginning to use some. Well, I've been using a lot of it for a long time, but as I said, I know many people of my age is very much afraid of change, and it's very sad in that way. But yeah, I mean, I think that we're living in a wonderful world right now. In the context of how technology and other things like that, because we're able to communicate. I mean, I have friends that I haven't seen for years, but because of this sort of communication, I mean, you can be sitting there speaking with somebody and you can actually see them if you want to, and things like that. So it also helps with this keeping in touch. You know what I mean? I mean, imagine sometimes I'm looking at some of these older films and they're talking about, I mean, I'm looking at Africa when Africa became independent, and having these people to communicate that they're going to meet up somewhere. You know what I mean? And the time it will take, for them to go across the continent, I mean, and meet up with this person, or the letters that would have to be written, and all these sort of things, and the time it takes. I mean, things are much different now. I mean, you can communicate, and within one day, that knowledge is going around rather than having to wait 2 weeks or 5 weeks to get across the table. You know what I'm saying?
Or even more than one day. So if I think about, and one of the conversations I was having when we were doing, when I was attending the Maroon celebration in Moortown in October, Nanny Day celebration, and we were talking about communication. And one of the things that the group that I was with, we were talking about was the Ibeng as a form of communication, and that was able to warn the Maroons, those that were in the valley, that the English were coming, and or others who they were not expecting were coming, and they used that, and that message would pass from, once it's blown and it's blown right, it became a language in its own, and it was understood across the miles. That was then. Now we have something in the back of our pocket whereby we can send the technology. And the one thing that if I think about change, and this is a quote by John C. Maxwell, change is inevitable, growth is optional. And if I think about those words on its own, my mother lived in Jamaica for 20 years. At some points, I was visiting Jamaica on a regular basis, but at some points, if I'm picking up the phone to ring her, I was either getting one of those call cards, and I was using those cards up. I was literally getting a card a day, the £5 cards, the £10 cards. I was going through them a day. Had I jumped onto, and I was using WhatsApp a lot longer, and I had internet in my home a lot earlier, because I had a computer back in the day. But I didn't make the connection to say, okay, let me put in the internet into my mother's home, whereby I can then call her on WhatsApp. Bearing in mind how long WhatsApp has been around, and the ability to make conversations, have conversations using the internet. I already had it at home, but I never put it into my mother's home until very late, which was after COVID. So I missed out on at least 10 years worth of free.
Right. Well, the thing is that, I mean, right now in Africa, because in Africa, it's not like here where every house is numbered and, you can keep tabs on people and other things like that. So one of the things that they brought into Africa is what you call it M-Pesa, you know? So many people now is just got this phone and money is transacted to the phones. They don't, many times they don't carry any money at all around, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, you know, so if I want to pay you because I just get your account, get your number, phone, put it on your phone, and you just go to the place if you want to get money out, or if not, you can just transfer it to somebody else and who you want to pay.
Yeah.
You know?
What they call it, Cash App? Cash App? Or something like that?
M-Pesa. M-Pesa, well, yeah, it's I mean, I know in East Africa, the M-Pesa, I'm not so sure what they use in the West or the South.
It sounds like a Spanish thing, though, isn't it?
No, it's an invention by Africans.
Okay.
It's an invention by Africans because, as I said, you know, the idea of getting money across to people and the villages and some places are very, very far away, and you know you can't think. So yeah, and so with the phone is creating a great revolution there. I mean, landline is basically almost out of date now in Africa. You know, so. Because of the phone system, yeah. So it's something that's vitally needed because I mean, without that, many people will have difficulty contacting their wives or their mothers or their grandfathers or so forth up in the village because some of them are thousands of miles away. You know what I'm saying? You know, so it really is revolutionizing Africa right now. You know,
and that's the thing for me. It's embracing the change because there's elements that we will turn around and think, okay, it doesn't involve us or it doesn't affect us. But what we as a community is advisable to do is actually just keep on top of it. Just if you're going to listen to the news that will tell you all the tragedies and everything that's happening out there, see if you can also tap into, from a technology point of view, what's happening. There's going to be lots of it that you're going to think, okay, washing over my head, not really interested, not really necessary. But there's going to be elements that will allow you to make your life easier. It just
100%, yeah, 100%. I mean, as I said, you know, these days, if you can't read, you can listen because that's where I learned a lot because whilst I was driving, I would put a tape in or a CD or whatever, you know, and you'd listen and you learn whilst you are. So, you know, there's no excuse for people to be, to not have any knowledge anymore. You know what I mean? Well, again, as I said, because information is there, and you know, whilst you're moving around, whilst you're in the kitchen cooking, information is there. You know what I mean? So it's at your fingertips. You know what I'm saying? You know, you don't have to leave and go outside. I mean, you just put on WhatsApp, YouTube. The information is there. So it's a wonderful period. Now, the other thing which I'd like to come to is the situation where you was talking about traveling at a very young age and also learning at a young age. Well, as I said, I came to this country when I was 14 years of age, and 1 year later I was sailing on the ship. I was 15, right? And you know, although I had for the first 5 years, I didn't actually go to foreign countries, but it was just traveling up and down the coast of UK. And but to me, it was a beautiful experience. But again, having said that, I want to also go back to the sort of situation as a child, because as a child, you know, growing up in the Caribbean, because I suppose the advantage was because my parents was not there, my mother and father wasn't there, so I grew up with my great-grandparents. And I used to be out until very late at night. But the people who was around was elder people. You know, like the old men, the people in them there, they're playing the dominoes or playing whatever.
Yeah.
Sailor men coming back from traveling and things like that.
Mm.
And you're sitting down, and of course they're talking, and they're giving stories, or they're telling tales, or things about that's going on in life. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Whereas that sort of information that I was getting from them, I would not be getting it if I'm sitting in the company of
Your
people
peers.
of my age.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying, right? So to me, all those things was very vital in the context of my youth and my experiences growing up. You know, having to learn from these elders. I mean, I was standing around watching them and so forth, but I wasn't able to be involved in their conversation. But I'm listening. You understand what I'm saying? You know.
Mm.
So
And
to me, that was also vitally important.
yeah, and
And
that's what that is what I'm talking about, is that the level of interaction of certain age, obviously peer interaction, like people of the same age as well, experiencing what they experienced in at their age of growing up as well. Like, how was it for them? Like, for instance, in the Africas, in the Caribbeans, right? Like growing up from through the, like, from 7 to 14. What did they experience? How was their education?
Mm.
How was it influential to them?
Mm.
Well, which is very, very important to hear, because, like, obviously, we all we saw was an influx. Well, sorry, all I saw was the influx of like Africans and Caribbean people,
Mm.
right, and Indian children as well, that
Mm.
they came to the school. First of all, they struggled with the language, and then they put them in a separate class,
Mm.
and then next minute they were off to grammar school, and you
Mm.
think, well, how the hell did they do that? They can't even speak the language.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But that was never explained. That was never explained to us, right?
Mm.
But the fact is that obviously they came in at a higher learning level than what we were.
Mm.
You know, so you know that's how
when you just said something there, which I marvel at, because I mean, in Africa, when I went there some years ago, seeing people coming out, going to, they cannot speak the language because most subjects are done in English, especially at a higher level.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And they have to read these English books or do, I mean, imagine somebody stripping down an engine or doing it, but all these things is done in English.
Yeah.
And he's got to learn from that. And he's getting his qualifications and everything. You know what I'm saying? Oh, these people are really brilliant. I mean, when you say that always, I'm saying, how can you compete with that? So what you're just saying, Sister Sandra, I mean, I can resonate with that, because I'm seeing it, and I'm until today I'm still questioning, the ability of someone to, to be able to have a book in a language that they don't speak, and then having high qualifications in their studies in those areas.
Exactly. You know what I'm kind of grievous to as well. I've heard it time and time again of where like people come from the Africas and the Caribbeans and various places around the world, right? They've come to these British institutions, right? And then their academia qualifications have not been recognized. And yet they were crying out. I would say Enoch Powell was the one who was requesting you come to save the motherland. And then when he realized how much of them are gonna come, he said, "Oh, there'll be streets of blood." There'll be streets of blood. if you let them all in at the same time. Should have kept your damn mouth shut in the first place. I said out a text.
But you know, Sister Sandra, you're talking, as I said, you're talking about the situation of traveling. And, you know, as I said, I didn't really get much of an education in the field of academics in the schools or whatever like that. But, you know, one of the things I said to myself, you know, one of the great things for me was my traveling. I think that was a great education
that's a big
for me.
learning curve. Yeah, big learning curve. Yeah.
You know, because as I said, I leave school at 15, and well, again, I was thrown in the very high rank within my job, because basically, howbeit when I started, there was only 2 of us, but the point is, my rank was second in command. You know what I'm saying? And I went on from there to then to bigger ships, which and my position was always the same for the 7 years that I was sailing. I was always second in command on the ship. You know what I'm saying? So it was a great experience for me. You know, I mean, having to sail the North Sea, traveling through to France and to Holland and places like that, you know. So yeah, it was a great experience for me, and also at the same time, having to go back to the Caribbean at a very early age. I mean, after 7 years being here, and being able to go back and, you know, seeing the changes, you know, seeing the changes of people I grew up with, and that, you know, wait a minute, when I leave these countries like this, and here I go back and thinking that I'm in this great country, and here's guys who's living better than me. You know, they're finishing work at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They're going home, and they're living in better houses than me.
I tell you now, I would have burned my passport right there, sir. It was me. I would have burned it right there. I said, no. And you know, as I said, I've always used this expression that I've been blessed in my life, that I've been able to travel and sit and experience these different places and everything. But one thing that I always look for is how the people are, even outside of work. You know, if they're happy, you know, you know, and it's the simplest of lives that people are enjoying. You know, like for instance, like I could be in, like for instance, Italy, yeah, and it literally is that people would leave work, come home, sleep for about 3-4 hours, and then they get up and then they go out, right? And we're talking everybody, the children and everybody, and they're out 10, 11, 12, right? And then they come home and have a night's sleep. I'm thinking, how the hell they do all this thing here? You know, I heard about this thing siesta, right? And they literally do. They have this thing called siesta. I say, Rockstone, look on this now. England is a slave house. about they giving you 20 minutes and 30 minutes 30 minutes lunch break and all them things there. You don't even have time to even draw a breath to Rockstone. You know what I mean? And you know, and you think, whoa, who's got this thing wrong? Right. You know? I'm telling you, if things were different here.
So because you speak about the travel, travel and moving out of your environment, whether or not it's across seas, and he's spoken about for the first 5 years he was sailing up and down the coast of the UK. So it was moving out of your environment. And for me, as a young person, moving out of your environment, out of your own postcode, moving
Yes.
to another part of the UK, just to see and experience. One of the things that we don't always appreciate in London is how cosmopolitan the city is. So when you move out to the provinces, it may not be as cosmopolitan or as diverse. The challenge that the younger generation have is at the moment is that they are often shepherded down that road of the technology, the same AI and all the technology, the various apps, the various games. So that encourages them to think about their world in a singular experience. So it doesn't encourage the communication. It doesn't encourage the looking out for it taking a village to raise a child. It encourages more the, well, if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to do it almost on my own, and I'm going to battle with people I can't speak to, I don't know. So that's one of the challenges as elders, as big people, when we have our children, we need to encourage them to embrace the technology, but also encourage them not to be ruled by that said technology. Get out.
Right. How?
Walk in the grass. Get wet in the rain.
Yeah.
Play football.
Yeah, as you say, you know.
Just my brother. What as you say, don't get ruled by that technology, right? Now, part of the thing that I'm about to engage in, right, is obviously having a break away from most of the scanning and everything that I usually do, anyhow, right? Only for research purposes, but to cut down on that tremendously, type of thing, you know. And in preparation of that, obviously it's a case of like isolating myself away from that, like what you've done for yourself, for instance, like the news and everything else and all that stuff. But obviously, like put it into a perspective of like, okay, then if I need to have it on a time basis, type of thing, you know, or type of thing as well. So and having a selection of different material that I would actually view that would be pertaining to what I'm going for the process that I'm going through. For instance, different DVDs and movies or whatever, and all this type of thing, you know. But even in doing that preparation there for that, right? I'm kind of like saying, wow, there's a lot of things that I just really just mind blow myself through, type of even now, and like, is it in line with my I'm going to use this terminology, my moral standing, right? And unfortunately to say, a lot of it is not. A lot of it is not, because of the influence that they are trying to brainwash us into of accepting certain lifestyles and media controlled information, right? That, you know, usually you can say, no, I'm not interested in that. Boom, I'm not interested in that. Boom, whatever, you understand? But some of us just let it just blow through without even saying, okay, then, well, child, you're right. Yeah. But it's still going on, not realizing and acknowledging that it is actually having an influence on you subconsciously, you know? So I just wanted just to point that. Yes, brother Akram, come true now.
Yeah. No, I was just going to point out that, you know, the other thing is, I'm not fearful of development because, you know, I don't know if you've ever been into Canary Wharf area, not the upper part, but the lower part by West Ferry Road, by West Ferry Circus. There's a little water like a little dock area there. I mean, that's where I used to tie up my ship. I mean, back in the 60s, right? My boat used to be tied up there, and so I watched that place being a dock, and when it was being closed down, many people was in panic. What is going to happen now? And the world is ended, and sort of thing. And now you can see a city there, and all of these things give me encouragement not to fear the development, because the world doesn't stand still. It's moving forward. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's probably more people employed in that area now than there was at that time, and probably generating a lot more income than it was at that time. You see what I'm saying? But yet still, many people, this is the end of the world. The docks are going to be closed, and this and that, and see what comes out after that. So for me, that opens me up. That I'm very open to the idea that development has got to take place. It's going to take place, and we shouldn't be afraid of it. Shouldn't be afraid of the developments that's coming, because it is going to come. And likelihood it will be for the best, because as the population grows, we cannot stand still. We have to look at that, because the population. I mean, I know we talk a lot sometimes about going back to certain things and so forth. But how can we go back when the population then was a lot different from what it is now? I mean, the speed at which we need things, the amount of people that is there now that needs to be transported from one place to the other. We need more trains. If the trains were not there, like for instance in Tanzania right now, I mean, they don't have the underground system, because like Dar es Salaam, the population of Dar es Salaam, similar. You can balance it along with London. I mean, London is just a little bit smaller than Dar es Salaam. Population of Dar es Salaam is now larger than that of London, and most people don't have cars. Right? So the thing is that the government has now developed, and they don't have the underground like what they do here, but they've now done an overground bus service, like the trams, but it's not the tram, but it's overground, and it's made such a difference, because from where I am, I'm just about 5 miles from the town center, and it used to take me sometimes just coming out of my house to get to the main road into town. Sometimes it takes an hour. Now within seconds, within about maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I could be in town. Where it used to take me sometimes all 2 hours to get there. You know what I'm saying? And because the government has brought these buses in, so people now are able to get into town much faster and things like that. So yeah, I mean, it's a great idea, because as I said, they don't have the underground, and of course the underground is a lot more expensive. So they're building these buses, the government buses, because before the government didn't have any transport like that. They used to have just one railway line out.
All right. Oh gosh, I got a message here. Right. We was talking about. I was talking about. About the siestas, right? So it says, brother, in Senegal, life expectancy is between 71 and 72 years, and in Gambia, life expectancy is around 55 to 57, which I'm very surprised with that, actually, to be honest. 55 to 57, because in Senegal, they do a siesta as they work from 8 a.m. Right, so they start midday, right, until 12 o'clock. Because I used to start at 7 o'clock. That's why I say that. Right, so they start from 8 a.m. to 12, and then go home, and then come back to work at 3 p.m., allowing them to have a nap. While in the Gambia, there is no siesta, as work and it's 8 p.m. to 4 p.m. just like in England. You see, they're
Mm.
working us into the ground. But yet, what they do also in England, they turn the clock backwards and forwards so that they can get extra daylight and extra work out of you as well. So.
Mm.
So it's not so bad, dear. Not so bad, is it?
Mm. It's interesting because I didn't know those figures or what
Yeah.
the difference of the lifestyle made and or makes to the two populations. So that was an interesting share. Thank you, caller,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
for sharing that with us.
Yeah, man. So, and obviously there's a lot more affairs as well that goes on in that. Anyway, more time,
Yeah, because my father-in-law was from Sudan, and I mean, whilst he was working, he was always looking for. Well, as I said, he would come home for a certain time, and then, as I said, he would have his sleep in the afternoon. Like maybe from 1 to 3 or something, and then go back. So yeah, I get that siesta thing. It's because I think probably because Senegal is a bit further north than the Gambia is. Well, although it surrounds thing, but in some parts it's a bit further north than it is, so it might be more hotter there in the desert. So therefore, they use that thing anyway. Because I think mostly in the sub-Saharan area, I mean the Saharan areas, I think they use that. Like in Mexico, I think they do that in Mexico as well, isn't it? The siesta thing, for the because it's a lot of desert as well.
That's right. Yeah. Just before they cross into America. Yeah. See, yeah, man. So, listen. For whatever it is and wherever we are, right? We have to learn to look after ourselves, yeah. Right? Because because like I remember when I was working, right? It was a point of discussion saying that coming up to retirement is a bit harsh how they do it, and what we were saying amongst ourselves was that there should be a breakdown. So like when you come up to your time, right, that you would have a countdown. So if you've got 5 years to go, then you would only work 4 days a week, and then 3, 2, 1 day, and then come down into your retirement type of thing, right? And the thing is that there's so many of us who were saying, yeah, that would be so good. That would be so good because it wouldn't be such a shock in that transition, But like there was others who were saying, no, we can't work like that. Can't work like that. We've got to get the money. We've got to get the money in, which is is it kind of like, well, some of us are not too worried about the money. We just want the rest. Anyhow, we're joined by Brother Kwame, lastminute.com. Come in, Ike, Brother Kwame.
Yeah, just a quick one, just to remind people that if they go into the United States, they're going to be careful what they have on their phone.
Why?
Anything criticizing the current president, they might get turned back.
But everybody's criticizing the president. God's sake! All they have to do is all they have to do is just look up my name and then it will come up.
They need to wipe them phone before them go. No.
You can prepare 2 hours.
Yeah, 1 hour. Is it 2 hours? All right, I'm done.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Don't criticize the president, right?
It's a bit touchy.
Really? Yeah, man. He shouldn't have taken that job then, should he?
Yeah, well, nobody else wanted it, you know. I was good enough, so yeah, you have to take it.
Exactly. So anyway, we don't want to spoil the afternoon now, right? Right,
Have a good day.
Sister Sandra.
We've just had an interesting conversation, and I thank Brother Kwame and Brother Akram for their contributions, but also the contribution from our silent caller who sent in some information. So we're listening to the ancestral voices. That was Dr. Or Professor Omar, plus other notable speakers. That was 2011. Just encouraging us to think about what was happening in the Americas. Are there any correlations to what's happened to us growing up in the UK? And then we spoke about change and how change can and does affect us. And sticking your head in the sand or thinking it won't happen isn't the best way forward. If we're going to listen to the news and what Brother Kwame just shared with us, if you're going to listen to that, then you might just well tap into the technology news and see where that's going and make use of that to the infinite degree that works with you, because it's already out there. It's not taking your job. It will release you so that you can release the mundane tasks such as the typing pool and taking longhand notes, to whereby you can take voice memos, voice notes, you can get translations transcribed into other languages, and it then frees you up to do what you choose to do and or live your purpose.
Well done. So we covered quite a lot as usual. And that's only within the few hours that we've been here, right? As we encourage you all to do, be part of the program, call in, text in, even be a co-presenter as well, right? So, don't leave it just up to us, because remember, it's a community station, right? And as we do, we extend the invitation to all and everybody. So if you have any topics you would like us to cover as well, please give them in and send them in to us as well, even via the text lines, right, or WhatsApps, or you can call in or come to the our online connections through the Facebook or through the YouTube as well. Okay, so you can come either way through there and submit your subjects of discussion as well, right? And if you want to share any events as well, give us a prior warning, please. Right? See if it's contextual to who we are as a program, and if it's not, I could always pass you on to somebody else who probably could facilitate it for you in a better way, right? So they, just hence that's why we like the little heads up to see what's going on as well, right? Sister Sandra, your publication, please.
It's my time. Reclaim your dreams. Coercive Control Survival Guide can be obtained from Amazon, Amazon.com. You can either get it as a hardback and or on Kindle. So the Kindle price is £2.49, I believe, and the hardback or the softback copy, paper copy, because I know Brother Aston says he prefers to read books in the original paper format. So the paperback copy is £9.95, I believe. But it's under £10. But both for the book is worth a read, because we don't always move through life with that 101 this is what the next step of life is. This is how relationships are, or this is how you parent a child. So when we can, and we do have the opportunity to share our knowledge, and I've shared my knowledge and my experience regarding coercive control, there are signs, there are flags out there. Let's build healthy relationships. And that book is encouraging the healthy relationship rather than the toxic mental relationships. And then on Saturday, I will be delivering a topic, embracing change. Because it's not some change has happened, it's happening. The worst thing to be is to be a backseat driver in this thing called change. And it's not about your age. It's about your taking the opportunities, because there are opportunities that can help you to do things better, faster, and or just with more confidence.
Okay. What happened there?
I don't know what happened there. Over to you.
All right. Yes, it's over to me now. Okay. Thank you very much for that information there. And you know what, we look forward to hearing the outcome of your presentation over the next few days. And for those who can attend, please do attend as well. Right. So, you know, information is going to be.
You want to share the link?
Yes.
Share the link.
Where's the link? Where's the link?
I sent the link to you.
You got the link to me? Where is it? Diddly diddly dee. Oh, right. Yeah, I just saw it. Yeah. Sorry. Right. It is www. What's it? Oh God, I can't even see it. I haven't got my eyes with me. Have you got it there with you? Hold on, let me just tap on it to see. Diddly diddly dee. Go back. Visit anyway. Right. Ascend your pathway. Okay. Says ascendyourpathway.com, I think it is. Yeah. And we've got three sisters who will be on that platform, and they'll be speaking on various topics, right? Topics of embracing the change, even when you do not want to as well, right? And then you've got playing your ace, thriving through life's transitions, and also when a shift happens, pivot to be unleashed and breathe as well. So that's it. That's the arena that our sister Sandra is going to be actually being on as well, right? So please be part of that. And let's get involved in that as well, right? Ascend your pathway. Okay, so if you're all onto that, I will pull forward that through various links through various WhatsApp groups, right? So let me put that into the Blacknificent group, then I can. Then it's all there, isn't it?
Yep.
It's all there. There we go. All right. I got it all out there. Right. That's done for you, my sister.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Right. So we shall meet again. Our paths shall cross again in the near future. Right. And take care. Have a great time in Texas. Right.
Yeah.
What time is it now? It must be about like
Same as
what?
JA time.
Oh, okay then. Okay, so you are in the morning, breakfast time.
Yes.
Breakfast time, isn't it? Is it steak and eggs?
Well, I know you were talking about food earlier on, and that's not on my.
that would be my request. Steak and eggs, please.
That's not on my palate.
No.
No.
Oh dear. Yeah. Yes, definitely would be on my one. That one.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyhow, look, each to their own. And
Yes.
everything else. Don't be sending me no pictures of some oversized plate that you can't finish. And this was just a start. All right, then, my sister. You take care now. Right.
Stay blessed.
And be good. Be good to everybody you see. Yeah.
Okay. All right then. Peace, Blacknificent family. Peace.
All right, then. Let's up.
Full of like a landfill, a child slowly kills you. Roses that won't heal. Ooh, Lord, so tired when I bring down the government. They don't speak for us. I'll take a quiet life and shade of carbon monoxide and no loans, no surprises, no loans, no surprises, no loans, no surprises, This is my final fit, my final belly ache with no arms, no surprises, no arms, no surprises, no arms, no surprises. Such a pretty house and such a pretty garden. No arms, no surprises, no arms, no surprises, no arms, no She's boots on Chevy in the y'all don't block. Slip TLC, she be burning up the black tie. Don't know what she got, don't know what she got. Yeah. FaceTime talking 32 all night long. We done killed the phone, now we burning up the laptop. Say I like it a lot, say I like it a lot, yeah. Drive me wild, slim in the waist with her ass for miles. Like, can't cut her loose on another level when she on that cruise. Hell yeah, that's my baby. Little miss, little miss, little miss, little miss. That's my baby. Little miss, little miss, little miss, drive me crazy. Little miss, drive me wild. Little miss, misbehaving. Little miss, drive me crazy, drive me crazy. Man, tell me where you get that ass from. Little way to make a lip, sip it, let me have some. Secure, taking your day, girl, let me take your man. Just let me know, second, ready to go, ready to go. Said I never had to see it before. She wanna ride with me, I'ma say it and talk. She be on the horn, yeah, man. A couple minutes later, I'm pulling off in the Chevy like city talk. Mama listen, mama talk, city listen, girl, the ball, pull a hummy at attention and the way you dress, fit your body, got you dirty on the mission. That's just what you're looking at me blowing kisses. You know, you do it body. Drive me wild, slam in the face, but it has me miles. Can't cut her loose on another level when she on that cruise. Hell yeah, that's.
What? You're wondering if I care about you. Is there some cause why I should doubt you? Oh, I can see, boy, that you don't know me very well. You're so unsure, and you